Welcome to the Becoming Sovereign podcast put on by Sovereign, the second recording of the new name. As we talked about last time, we are doing a lot more with individuals and people wanting to become sovereign, and they just happen to be business owners in addition to the sort of core idea of our business, which is helping small businesses get up, accept Bitcoin payments, and hold a Bitcoin treasury. We've just found that a lot more of the people we're working with are individuals who want to become more sovereign, want a better stack, and so we're changing the name. Nothing else has changed. The content isn't really changing. The guests are still in line with what we've been talking about before. And so along those lines, we've had a lot of people on Nostr that build things on Nostr, that are selling stuff on Nostr, that are open sourcing stuff on Nostr. And we have one of those guests today. This is Seth from Zap.Cooking, one of the original Nostr projects I ever used. I have a recipe. I think it's from like 3 or 4 years ago. That's still posted there. So, Seth, welcome and thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. And I was going back and looking at some of our old conversations, and yeah, you were one of the original uploads back when it was Nostr.Cooking.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was. It wasn't
Yeah.
even Zap.Cooking yet, and so I remember you were kind of in that original crowd of 2022, I believe, or very early 23. I know you were.
Yeah, it was early 23.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I know you were one of the early faces out there. And speaking of faces, my appearance is very different than I normally am on these podcasts. I don't think I've ever worn a hat, and I'm wearing a junk hoodie. I still have the glasses, but it's because I'm in the middle of smoking some meat, and I have my smoking. This is my smoking attire. It's like a smoking jacket, but for cooking, because you stink afterwards, and then it all goes straight in the wash, and then I shower. So I am not put together yet today.
Yeah, I mean everyone has to have that meat smoking sweatshirt and outfit that they entertain on Memorial Day weekend or 4th of July or whatever barbecue may be happening.
100%. Are you into smoking meat at all? Is that something that is in your repertoire?
Well, I'm probably a novice. I don't have a ton of experience. There's some weekend smokers who plan out 3 days of just committing to smoking.
That's me.
I'm a little
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
I'm a little more random. At our campground we have a smoker, pellet smoker type of grill, and did some ribs last year. Haven't done anything yet this year, but it's early. Season's early, so.
Yeah, I'd encourage you. It's one of those. It's like anything in cooking, right? The more you experiment, the more you try it out, the more you do with it, the more proficient you become. And I'll never forget the first time I smoked. Me and my buddy tried to do a brisket, and we really had no idea what we were doing. We kind of just bought the smoker, put the charcoal in, threw some wood on, and like that was kind of we seasoned a brisket. We didn't even like properly rub it. We didn't put some mustard or oil on there to like get the seasoning to stick. I mean, we truly had no idea what we were doing, and I don't know. We pulled the thing. I don't know, 10, 11 hours later, we were up at the crack of dawn and took the thing out and went to slice it, and it was just absolute shoe leather. Disgusting. I mean, it was truly inedible. Like, I mean, it wasn't even beef jerky. I don't know what it was. Like, it was so awful. We actually ended up ordering Lou Malnati's pizza for people familiar with that place. But
Nice.
so you just get out there, you find things you like, techniques you like, and actually the worst thing I found is I've started to like experiment with stuff, and then it comes out worse, and it's like, why didn't you just stick with what you knew? Find what works,
Yeah.
and go with it.
Well, one of the challenges with the committing to the meat smoking is that you have to have such a time commit, so you can't even. I mean, you could sample it in between and take a look and see how it's coming along, but those are just the lessons you learn once and internalize, and next time go around you're a little better prepared. How about it?
100%. And yeah, opening it up, the guests want to see the meat, and it's like, sorry, I'm not opening up. It's adding like 30 minutes to the cook, and you're already
Yeah.
going to complain that it's taking too long. So, um, but anyways, from from all the meat talk here, so one of the people, I'm curious as to your background and how you kind of got into cooking. People, I don't think people realize that cooking is really an underappreciated part of being sovereign, and just good life skills to have. The amount of money that you can save and how much better your health is going to be from making your own food. I mean, I've gotten to the point now where, I mean, I enjoy a nice steakhouse because someone's waiting on me and they're taking care of us, and it's a whole experience, and that's all wonderful. But I mean, if I'm being honest, I can buy a Snake River Farm steak or some, corn fed USDA prime steak, and I will make it just as well as these places for half the price. And some of these places probably don't use the best ingredients and all that sort of stuff. And I just think it's an underappreciated part of having control of your life, having autonomy of your life, of your family, of your household. Curious if you feel the same way, or feel that sort of in your soul as you're passionate about cooking.
Yeah, well, I mean, cooking's like the original community, right? You would have families together for dinner. You know, there's the ritual of cooking and eating together is this community event that transcends generations and cultures, right? So if I don't care if you're in China, India, South Africa, whatever it may be, all these folks are eating and likely cooking, and having that understanding and ability to be able to prepare your own meals is it's an art form, but it's also something that can be welcoming to other people across cultures and society. And that's why it's like really the original community meeting places around the table, right?
100%. And so, did you always have a predilection to cooking? My mom was a very big cook and sort of kind of got me into it. And I always loved grilling stuff. And then when I went off to college and was on my own and didn't have my mom's cooking anymore, I kind of was like, wow, I miss like actual real good food. This is tough. Not knowing how to do this and eating a lot of turkey sandwiches on white bread and Kraft mac and cheese boxes and Tombstone pizzas and all the other junk. And it was like, I actually want to be able to make stuff in the kitchen. And kind of that's sort of where my journey into really loving cooking and becoming good at it began. But I'm curious to hear your journey into cooking.
Yeah, probably very similar. Both my parents, my mom was a pretty good cook, and then my dad was also, he was like the weekend chef, right? Mom would do all the weekday meals and prepare everything. And, I come from a frugal family, so like going out to eat was just not something we did on any regular occurrence. So when I see these sort of modern day, you know, challenges that kids have where it's like, the Uber Eats didn't show up. It's like even today, like if I ordered something out to take out, for example, I would never in a million years have it like delivered, So it's just part of the frugal nature, but which leads to the cooking element of it, right? Like because you can prepare your own meal, and once you sort of understand the basics of cooking, then you can really prepare anything. Like we were talking earlier about the smoked meats and things like that. Okay, you mess that up once, and then you learn from that experience. Because let's face it, it's a chunk of meat that's probably not cheap.
Nope.
Yeah, so you get better, and it is a learned experience. It's something that maybe some people don't think that they can do, but recipe is basically a playbook. It says here, do step 1, 2, 3. And here's your ingredients. So it's giving everyone the ability to be able to just build a mill, right? Where we talk on Nostr a lot about building and things like that. Like here, you can build your own meal and prepare things accordingly and apply both the art and the science of cooking together.
I thought you said build a mill, which is even more self-sovereign. grind
Yeah,
grind your
right.
own wheat and then make your own
Yeah,
bread from that.
yeah.
But but yeah, it is, and it is one of those things I've noticed personally that the first time I do a recipe, even though it's step by step and everything, it's like it's not perfect, and then like step number two, the second time I do it, it's like an order of magnitude better. Like there's like a 10x level of improvement. I don't know what that is, but have you experienced similar? Or are you
Well,
just one of
yeah.
those guys that just nails it right from the beginning?
I've butchered a few things over the years, but I think it's one of those things that with a little bit of practice, you get a little bit better, no matter what. Because really, a lot of recipes are sort of built off of a couple core ingredients, right? It's some sort of fat, some sort of salt, heat, or you putting a char on it, a sizzle, a smoking it, and then apply all the above: veggies, meats, cheeses, you name it, and it all follows a similar pattern. But once you sort of capture the essence of it, I think and I come to you as a humble chef, not as an expert chef. There's some people
Me,
that
me
are,
too. Yeah, I
yeah,
by no
yeah,
means Michelin starred or anything like that. I'm just a home
right.
home amateur. So
Yeah, and sometimes it's fun to make it pretty and all that stuff too. But that's up to each individual, right? How much effort do you want to put into the preparation of it?
I've never been a presentation guy myself. I'm big into barbecue, obviously, as we talked about, and I would watch all these barbecue competition shows, and like a third of the score was presentation. I'm like, these ribs could be upside down and crossed over each other. I mean, I couldn't care less how they look. Like, am I going to pick up that bone? I'm eating like a caveman, a bunch of smoked meat dripping in some sort of sauce that's going to end up all over my face. And it's like, how was it presented to me? I always thought that was kind of
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah.
Uh,
I
Go ahead,
always
sorry.
like the presentation, especially on the smoked meats. Everything reminds me of that Flintstones, like like how they used to serve the T-bone to
Yes.
Fred Flintstone, like the giant steak.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
It's all meaningless. Like, did it taste good when it entered your mouth? And
yeah,
to me,
right.
that's the final arbiter of everything. So,
It's true.
so along those lines, what kind of inspired you to start Zap.Cooking? What was the process behind it? What got you to that point? Why did you? Yeah, go ahead.
It was probably more like, it's not the fun, fancy story that everyone wants to hear. It's more like it just sort of happened to come together back in the early days. And you were on Nostr pretty early, I remember. And it was this new space where people were just sort of connecting and figuring things out, right? And that's what I loved about it, right? Nobody owned it. Nobody had sort of dominion over it. There was certainly I'll say status and signaling and things like that, but that's like any human environment, right? But in those early days, I was just talking to people through Nostr nests and different communications on the different application. I used Damus primarily back then. And we were talking about just like buying domain names, and I'm like, just looking anything Nostr related, Nostr, because I'm like, this thing's gonna be huge, right? Like I saw the potential in Nostr like right out of the gate, and so I secured Nostr.Cooking, and I'm not a developer. With AI, I get to play one, but back in the early days, we didn't have those tools available to us. So I had to have like a real human actually developing and coding the application. So I met a developer, and we built version 1 of Nostr.Cooking, which was something different that Nostr wasn't doing at the time. There was a lot of Twitter-like clients, different web apps, and just sort of modeling conventional social media, and this was an opportunity to do something different, which was recipes, right? And like mentioned earlier, this is something that transcends cultures, age, you name it. Everybody eats, and maybe it's not 100% of people enjoy cooking, but 100% of people enjoy eating. So So we felt that there was a connection there. And then, you look at the old legacy web, and it's full of ad laced uh, recipes and big storylines. So we wanted to build something simple that was just straight to the point, and that was the original Nostr.Cooking, and which is now Zap.Cooking.
And yeah, oh my gosh, the stories drive me. I always wondered. I'm like, why do these people go with these stories? And then same on the YouTube videos. It was always, like I just wanted to. I remember trying to replace the fan in my bathroom, the motor,
Yeah,
and the part where it was actually like showing me how to do it was 2 minutes long, and then there was just 13 minutes of some guy talking about procuring stuff and his journey to
yeah,
replacing his bathroom fan. And then I found out it like the algorithm needs the longer intro videos to like get your video in the feed. So it was this stupid trick the system where people would spend all this time literally wasting time to basically get higher up in the feed or the SEO or the algorithm on whatever platform they were in, and it was just completely unnecessary, useless information that's getting thrown at people. And what I love about Zap.Cooking is you can just go click on the recipes, and it's like boom, you click on the recipe, and there it is. It's there's there's like a section for comments, and it's usually like a sentence or two max, and then it's just like here's the ingredients, here's the steps.
yeah, and that's the intent, right? We want to have the site be utility more than anything. There's too much, as you mentioned, too many hoops people are jumping through, which is really stripping them of their sovereignty and their own authenticity, right? And this is another thing I like about Nostr is that people are just a little more real, a little more authentic, a little more themselves, compared to sort of doing the, I guess, the theater of social media where you had to like go on and argue with everyone about politics and all that stuff, and a lot of that would get you more and more attention. I used to frame it, and I haven't done it in a while, but used to frame it like Nostr is this constructive network where Twitter is a destructive network because people are over there arguing, and there's some value there, but not like Nostr where it just seems like people are just genuinely trying to be more helpful, a little more themselves, a little more human, right?
I mean, I couldn't agree. I was on Twitter for a little bit. I stopped going on Twitter, I think maybe 2 3 years ago, and when they started the whole blue check, everyone was going to get blue checked, and I forget when that rollout was, and it's all morphed into something even way more dystopian than all of that. But it was palpable. I mean, you would go on you would go on to Twitter, and you could like feel yourself getting agitated, and like you're like the frequency in your body was like shaking. And then you would go on Nostr, and it would just be much more relaxed, and it was like you actually felt like you owned your time, and you're like, okay, I can get off here when I want to. I've seen what I need to. I've looked at people's profiles I want to. Cool, I'm off. And it was literally physically noticeable.
Yeah, I've seen that too, and I've been a victim, self-inflicted, for the early days in Twitter when things, especially around COVID, everything was contested and arguing, and it carried over. Interesting, during those cycles to like all the different social medias, and it was like this. Okay, this is the place to come argue with people. Like your family and friends are dropping off because of like political things and this and that, and it's like what is going on? People are like just going nuts with all this stuff. But Nostr just showed up at the right time, and just happened to be this like new place. Like literally imagine, you have this just landscape that you just discovered and like right by the water, and you're like, damn, this is nice. It has all the
Yeah,
functions and the features that I want, and the people seem chill. So let's put a flag here and start building.
I know it is great. It's just such a better feeling. It's one of those things though, and we're kind of going off topic here, but I don't really care. I like this conversation, and I do think it's important. Um, it's kind of like Bitcoin, right? Where it's like you've lived through it, you've experienced the benefits that Bitcoin has added to your life. It's protected your savings. Like a lot of us, me included, like I don't even have to look at an investment portfolio anymore. I don't have to manage a 401k anymore. I just don't care. Like my money's just in Bitcoin, and it's just simple. Not to mention the fact it's outperformed every other single thing I used to own, and it's just it's afforded me opportunities and that I would have never had before. And then you look around the people around you and you're just like, how have you not figured this out? Why don't you want this for yourself? And then I see Nostr the same way, where it's just like my heart rate is down, my pulse is down. The people here are, to your point, are, of course, there's crazy people and annoying people and bots and psychopaths and sickos and all that stuff. Of course, that's out there. But generally speaking, and also you have much more control of seeing that versus not seeing that. So you're kind of in the driver's seat, and it's just such a better experience. But like at the same time, you just can't. I don't know what it is. I'm curious. Do you have any psychological analysis of why it's? But do people just need the agitation or something? Or I don't know.
I like to believe, and I don't know if this is true or not, but there's some value in owning your own content, right? Like when you sign up for Nostr, you get a key pair. You don't have a username and password. And in some ways, maybe like when you go to Twitter or Facebook, you're just like going into a community hall, like, for, you've been to a wedding before. It's like, okay, we're at the hotel, especially maybe at a younger age, might have got a little crazier. Like, screw it. We're just going to throw the chairs in the pool. Whatever. And next thing
I don't know what you're talking about, Seth. Sorry. Yeah.
But, and here it's like you're home. Like, all right, I don't want the chairs in the pool in my house. Maybe if I'm at the wedding at the hall, but not, at my own house. So like, there's maybe a little more ownership of your own reputation as it's associated with that. Because it's surprising. I mean, you do, like you said, there's some people that argue here and there, but net overall percentage, it's just not there. Like people are genuinely, even like some of the people that like to argue and or maybe have a little too much, a little wound too tight. They come around eventually and they're like, all right, well, good morning, fine, because there's a lot of big good morning culture and just courteous greetings, which don't generally exist everywhere, right?
I've only had one person I've got in a debate with. Actually, let me take that back. Two that I actually ended up like we unfollowed each other, and it was like acrimonious from there on. And to be fair, I still followed the person, but they unfollowed me, and I was just like, all right, well, if it's going to be like that, fine. But I would that's been over coming up on 4 years. That's happened twice. Like every other time, it's like appreciate your point of view, respect you, like, and it's like awesome. I'm gonna like and zap your next post, and so it is just a totally different vibe out there. People aren't out for scalps. People are like actually trying to engage and discuss things.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of builders, culturally, like it's a bunch of curious people, a bunch of homesteaders, a bunch of people, who have that sort of sovereign mindset. And then there's a few that are, we got some music folks that are trying to promote their products, and we'll have different folks coming along. But generally, it's just all, constructive vibes. So that's why I like building over there.
Yeah, and what's really cool along those lines and is part of the protocol. So why don't you talk a little bit about, for people that haven't been, first of all, you should absolutely go to Zap.Cooking and check it out. It's very cool. There's tons of recipes there. I mean, you could probably do a year's worth of cooking with what's up there. Like I would say easily. And so if you're looking for anything, it's probably up there. You're going to find something good. And so what? And as we were talking about earlier, with this sort of, we need this whole diatribe and whatever, and then that gets put on someone else's like centrally hosted, all recipes or pick your or recipes.com or whatever, pick your centralized platform where you basically have to like be okay with the gatekeepers to put your recipe up there. So why don't you talk a little bit about the process of putting a recipe onto Zap.Cooking and then finding different recipes as well.
Yeah, so Zap.Cooking is built on the Nostr protocol, and the way that that makes it a bit different is that you own your key pair, and all of the data is actually distributed through different relays that are not individually owned. Not owned by Amazon, not owned by Google, although somebody might be leasing some cloud servers, but there's people that have servers in their basement that run relays. So it's decentralized in that way. So when you come to Zap.Cooking, we've worked really hard on trying to simplify the experience, because this in the early days, we
Oh
didn't have
gosh.
as many features, and it was real extra janky. And it still is to some degree in
Now it's
certain
just
environments.
janky, not
Yeah,
extra
it's just
janky.
janky. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not extra, right? We're just a little lowercase j,
Yeah.
janky. But you can sign up pretty easy. That means you create a key pair, and you can do that workflow through Zap.Cooking, and we try to make it easy. And we actually have an embedded wallet in the experience, so you can start receiving and sending satoshis right away. And you just log on, put your profile picture on, little bio, go in there, click on a recipe. I mean, you don't even have to actually log on to view the recipes. We don't have any paywalls as far as that goes, or any gates to view any of that stuff. You would to like and to engage and things like that, but yeah, we try to make it easy for new users. That's like one of the goals, is trying to make it, I'll call it normie-friendly, because as I mentioned earlier, it's a lot of curious people, a lot of sort of explorers, tinkers, and things like that. So, but yeah, you can go in there and explore, save recipes. We have cookbooks that you can actually create. We have recipe packs, all sorts of fun things that you can play around with. But the neat feature is that once you have that key pair and you have an identity, then you can cross-pollinate to any other app and share a different type of experience, through Nostr. Nostr has, fountain logins. It has Twitter-like clones like Amethyst and Damus and Primal, and it's all goes with you, and your recipes stay with you, tied to that key pair.
Yeah, I have my sausage and peppers recipe up there. I gotta start putting some more stuff up there. But I that's to your point about making it normie proof or normie accessible, or however you phrase it. That is really important, because I have been, on what I'm doing. I talk to a lot of the people in the Nostr sales space or the Nostr business space, and a lot of the stuff that's being worked on and made. And granted, it's early days, and I get it, but it is difficult to navigate if you don't know what you're doing. And what you've done on Zap.Cooking is, you don't even, like you said, you don't even need a profile. It's super easy. You can just come on. You can just find a recipe on there like you would just going to ChatGPT or to Google or whatever. You can come on here and find someone's. And the cool thing too about Zap.Cooking, most of these are like homemade family recipes, things that have been around. Like my recipe, the sauce, my mom made it, my grandmother made it. Like, they passed it on down to me, and now I'm adding it. And that's a common theme amongst a lot of the posts on here, or recipes and entries on here as well.
Yeah, and there's a lot of recipes from all over the world too. So you're getting a rich experience of just different cultures and different people's family recipes. And I'm with you. Some of the ones that I have on there are, my family recipes. My dad used to make this Portuguese soup. We're not Portuguese, but it just became a staple in our house. And so like I put that one up there, and then we do some other traditional things over Easter, and I have a couple of those recipes up there. And it's just cool because they live out there, and now we have this value for value experience. If as you get to know Nostr, how it differs is that you can actually tip people. You can be like, "This is a bomb ass recipe. I'm gonna send you 1,000 sats, right, or close to $1, and just say, hey, thank you, for sharing that, right?" And so we're built a little bit different than all the rest.
Yeah, and honestly, if you're wondering what to make for dinner, just go to Zap.Cooking, click the recipes, and just, I mean, start scrolling. You'll find something and be like, oh, that looks good. I could make that tonight.
Yeah, and we added a handful of different AI layers, and trying to make that seamless and not over promote the AI thing, because AI is getting a little too saturated as like a buzzword, right? Like, oh, powered by AI and this and that.
Yeah,
And
right, right.
we just want to build good tools that people can use. But we have a membership layer, so if you sign up, and we're not pushy on it or anything either, but it's an option. You can access all these AI tools. So you can say, here's what's in my fridge. You can upload a link. It'll pull recipes from a link. If maybe you have something on all recipes that you like and you want to see it on Zap.Cooking, it'll format all that stuff. We have a nourish layer, which is all about nutrition. It on the recipe, so it scans and analyzes the recipes and tells you what your gut health score is, what the real food score is. So we added that as another layer just for people to use and have that experience.
Yeah, seed oils, you get an automatic zero, or
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah,
yeah.
that's a ding against it, but and honestly, that has a lot of potential for like future editions where we can curate the recipes based on that and say, hey, maybe you have a condition with your stomach and you need to improve your gut health, and we're going to say look for gut healthy foods, or you need more protein, or you need more calcium or something. We'll be able to curate recipes through that way as well.
Yeah, like you put the inputs of what you would want to see, or I mean, you even may say like, listen, I'm not concerned about seed oils. I'm okay if there's sesame oil or sunflower oil in the
Yeah.
recipe. Like, please don't ding the recipe based on that. Or yeah, I only want butter, or I only want tallow, or whatever, and you could,
Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
So our goal is to just be a place for people to come together, and people are interested in cooking and learning about food, and even experiencing different foods that are being eaten around the world. One of the we have like a foodster feed, which is all your kind one notes, but your social layer type things, and people from all over the world are posting what they're eating all the time.
Oh yeah.
If you it depends on what time of day, right? If you go sometime in the middle of the night, you'll see people, our friends over in Japan, posting all the different things that they're cooking and eating over there, or our European friends are putting pictures up of what they're having for dinner. And so it's pretty cool that we've got a community that's out there, and we're just taking all of the conversations that are having anyway, and we're curating it in a way that it is all about food, and sharing that with your user profile through Zap.Cooking.
I'm a hashtag foodster maxi. I've actually found a lot of people that I end up following that way. And to your point, it's yeah, someone will like one of my posts of food, and then I'll look up their profile, and yeah, they'll be in Japan and they're making ramen, or and then I'll find someone in Thailand and they're making Thai food, and it's just yeah, it's really cool to find all these people making all these different things, and that they're interested in in what you're doing and what everyone else is doing. I mean, I'll just be I like my favorite part of Nostr, the sort of social aspect of it is the foodster hashtag. Like that is my favorite thing. So
Yeah, in the early days, if for those who weren't there, we this is how we had to form communities, and I think some of the early early hashtags were coffee chain, pleb chain,
Oh yeah.
yeah, and Foodster was another one. So when people were sharing, you didn't have like a for you, and there's no algorithms to sort of drive, what you're seeing. So it was all very organic. People had to get their messages out through old school hashtags and curate them that way. And still today, that's pretty much alive in the culture.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Well, there was Zapathon, obviously. That was a
Yeah, Zapathon
classic
was another one.
hashtag. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. Well, there was, and then there was Nostriches, I think, was another one.
Nostrich, there was a grow Nostr movement for a while.
Yeah.
Introductions is still pretty much alive for if you're new. You hashtag introductions. Everyone comes and gives
Yep.
you a hug
Yep.
or says, "Hey, welcome to Nostr," right?
Yeah. So, one of the things that is difficult with Nostr and open source stuff and all this stuff is kind of the monetization. And some people, they don't want to monetize anything. They're just doing it out of the goodness of their own heart. Some people are kind of like, hey, if it works out and I can monetize, great. Where did you ever think about potentially trying to monetize this? Are you trying to monetize this, or is this just sort of a passion project for you?
Well, we're probably further ahead than most, at least as far as monetization goes, and in the sense that we had this AI layer and the membership layer, and just we're pulling, off of AI tools in the background. And to access that, we have a membership program, so you can come support us for an annual membership, which gives you access to that. Also, we broke down some barriers, with advertising, and it's obviously a little bit different than legacy advertising. We're not like putting up ads for Procter and Gamble and these type of folks. You actually have to have a
Pop-ups.
lightning. Yeah, you have to have a lightning wallet and we just put a banner on the top, and this is
Yeah.
really to help showcase other people's projects and get some additional eyes. If you're coming to Zap.Cooking, you can see some other people that are supporting us and some of the projects that they're doing. So we do have some of those things built in. It's still hard to get, break into a lot of these markets. Even that, what we're trying to do is like go after that like old food market, the old recipes and New York Times recipes and things like that. And find a way to break into that market and say, hey, we're a little bit different. We have Bitcoin wallets, and we have these AI layers, which is a lot of recipe sites do. But we're doing everything a little bit different. We have a different culture, we have a different community, and we're just going to compete in that arena and try to be the best we can. And a lot of that involves a lot of marketing, which far more than I realized.
Oh my gosh,
And
you and me both, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's getting new creative ideas around that. Like yesterday, we did for Bitcoin Pizza Day, a pretty big program just where we zapped people's pizza and put a scoring system in place and zapped 100,000 sats across 10 different winners. And a lot of people were responsive. I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, and a ton of people jumped in and tagged us in their pictures and things like that. So I think it's like we just got to do things a little bit different and show that why we're new, why we're different, why we're better than these freedom tech tools are better than the YouTubes and TikToks and everyone goes there. They're like, oh, that's where the people are. Well, here's a little well-known secret. They're lying about the numbers. Sure, they have the numbers, but TikTok in general, like they're padding the numbers, they're inflating the numbers, and they're making you
Big
feel
time.
good. With some sort of anonymous. Oh, there's 1,000 views. Like you have no way to verify that,
No,
right?
none.
And Nostr, provides a lot more just better identification rails where you can audit it a little bit better. It's not perfect, but again, we're distributing across all these different servers that are not owned by the same company, the same individual. And so that decentralization is a little more resilient. But there is obviously some janky trade-offs, but I think we're getting a lot better as far as that goes.
There's definitely janky trade-offs, but to your point, it's getting so much better. I mean, I've talked about it on here before, but even just putting a profile picture up at the end of 22 on any of the Nostr clients was an absolute chore. You had to have a website or self-host a
Yep.
photo and then and then reference it back as your profile picture, which is just absolutely insane to think about that once existed. So I mean, it's getting so much better, and it'll just continue to get better. But as I said earlier, I mean, people should just go to Zap.Cooking, check it out. Like, just don't even think of it as a Nostr site. Just think of it as a website that you can peruse for recipes. Like, start there, and then you can allay and get over your Nostr fears at a later time.
Yeah, yeah, fair point. And that's our goal too, is just to make it much more user friendly. I have my mom is 83, and I kind of use her as a litmus test. I'm like, oh, how's this working for you? Or I'll give it to my kids and like, click around here. Let me know what you think about this, right? So I'm constantly trying to do that, and it's funny over the years because more recently, as I mentioned, I'm not a developer, but with these AI tools, I've been doing a lot of the development work on it, and it's like you stare at this thing like nonstop, and you think you found it, and then you push it live, and somebody's like, and this is the cool thing about open source too, right? Somebody's like, hey, this thing's missing, or this is messed up. You're like, damn it. And you have to go back and go fix it, right? But like, it's just, we do it live, right? Like
Yeah,
that meme.
fuck it, we'll do it live.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
they actually at the RHR event in Vegas. That was actually the opening intro video. That was the Bill O'Reilly
Oh,
video.
nice.
It was it might have been the highlight of the event, but no, I'm just kidding. So another thing you mentioned earlier, I kind of want to get back to a sort of a more philosophical discussion about it. But when you're talking about advertising for banners and that sort of thing of other people or in the ecosystem, I think advertising has gotten such a bad rap because it's forced upon you, and it's anyone who's willing to spend any amount of money. It's just getting shoved down your throat. You might not know the product, or you do know the product and you don't like it, you don't want it, and it's just ubiquitously being like shoved down your throat, as opposed to what you're talking about is almost like a form of referral. It's like, if you're in a community with people, like, I want to know. I ask people on Nostr all the time, like, what is a good tool for this? Like, what is, if I need to replace my air conditioner, what am I looking at here? So like, I like the community feedback and the people. It's almost like a web of trust referral system, and I feel like that's much more what you're talking about, because truly, I do want to know the people that are selling. Like, I want to know where I can spend my sats more. Like, if almost all of the people I've end up buying stuff from are someone posted about, hey, this person's now selling this, and it's like, oh, I already followed that person. Okay, now I'm following this person. Now I'm checking out their website. Now I'm buying something from them, and like, I actually want that. I truly do want someone to give me referrals of people they like, they trust, that have a good product, or at least to be like, hey, aware of what's going on. This person's out there. Go check them out. You have this new opportunity, as opposed to just seeing an ad for progressive insurance for the 8 trillionth time in my life. And I'm curious if you've ever thought about that, or it's kind of something that just came to me as we were talking, that I think it's just fundamentally different, what you're doing versus sort of the old legacy internet pop-up ad model.
Yeah, well, Nostr, is, as we mentioned, is just generally different, and even it's a lot of privacy, sovereignty, focused individuals, and advertising is like taboo across culturally across Nostr, and I think for good reason, right? Because surveillance tech has gotten so bad, and I'll say like the Facebooks and Googles of the world, where it's not uncommon. I was with somebody the other day, and he was talking about, like, my dream car would be a Porsche 911, and we were on a flight, and then we landed, and he turned his phone back on. He's like, "You would not believe what the first ad that popped up to me. It was for a Porsche 911," and like that's got normalized over.
Yeah.
Society. They're like, oh, well, look, that's weird, but what are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can do something about it. You can go over to Nostr, where we're not spying on you. We're not even interested in any of your data. We want you to have a private key pair. We don't want to know your birth date. We don't want your email address, any of that stuff. There's surveillance tech, which is, taking and capturing because you're the product. And then there's freedom tech, which is just providing you the playground to go explore and have those conversations where you own your individual identity, and we don't want to take anything from you. So the advertising that we're doing is just a trade-off that we're sharing. We're trying something new, and we're sharing other individuals' projects, and we're doing it for cheap, and we're doing it with lightning payments, so it's autonomous to some degree, and so it's something that we're aligned and associated with Freedom Technology. We're not anywhere interested in the surveillance tech model, and we're trying something new and trying to build something that I think people are going to want to experience more and more as these sort of surveillance techs get just over the top. When they start predicting like what your next move is going to be, it's going to be like, all right, I got to get out of here.
Yeah, this is too creepy. Well, I mean, to your point, it is something new, and it's I think that's kind of why it's probably the first time I've ever really thought about this, just sort of the differing models there. But for me, the incredible benefit of Nostr and of Bitcoin is, I mean, honestly, just the saving of time, like to not have to plug a credit card in, to not have to get my name, my address, forget all the data collection, forget all the privacy destruction, the fact that my name, address, and phone number have been sold more times on the dark web than probably seconds in my life. Like, it's just, I mean, it's kind of a joke at this point, but it's just, you're never clawing back your private information. Like, it's just gone. Like, it's out there, it's in the ether, it's no longer private. Like, I've just kind of accepted that. But it's been, like I said, it's been sold so many times. But the really great thing is just the click on something, pay with Bitcoin, like, and it's there, especially online. Now, if you're buying a product that's going to get shipped to you, you still have to put your address in. But at least, to your point, it is stored over a better protocol. It's not some centralized giant company with a bunch of servers. It's an individual, and makes you feel a little better. It's not perfect. The problem isn't solved. We've talked about the distribution issue on the show many, many times, but it's just so much more simple and seamless. And I would think, and I get there's a hurdle. You have to have Bitcoin. You have to have a wallet. So like you have to have done that process. But I do think in the long run, just the ease of use is going to be so much more user friendly and beneficial that it's like, to me, it seems like the market would choose it on its own because of that.
Yeah, and one of the things that we've been trying to focus on is to try to simplify that, and like really don't want to like over promote Nostr. Like Nostr has its Nostr people, our curious folks, the builders and such, and we have a good conversation over there about the latest craze, on chain zaps and stuff like that. We get like way into the weeds.
Yeah.
Right, and that's good, and these are good conversations. But it's not, going back to my analogy. My mom, my 83-year-old mom, is not interested in that like at all, like how the technology works. They just want to go on and click buttons and it works.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
And so that's got to be all of our goal, if you're building on Nostr, is just to try to make it easier, simpler, so that it is more user friendly, so that it is more inviting, so that people don't have to, know how, a layer works. They just click buttons and it works, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of issues with it, but that's kind of what Primal's trying to do, right? Just totally, make everything you click, you get a profile, there's a wallet. I certainly have issues with how they're doing some things, but let's be honest, like it works really, really well. The search function's good. You have a wallet. it's great UX, great UI, and unfortunately, that's probably what it's going to take. It's going to take just a really really good, easy, seamless client to really, or I don't know even want to say client, but product built on top of Nostr,
Yeah. Yeah,
to
yeah,
to
and
get people.
Primal's done a great job sort of leading that charge. Each I would say each client, mainstream or popular, well-known client, has its sort of niche it's going after. Amethyst is going very feature heavy. It has all the features in the world, right? Damus is trying to build much closer to the, I would say, like the edge network. Build locally on your device and optimizing the database. With that and Note Deck and things like that. Primal, obviously, just trying to emulate that Twitter-like experience with some of
Hmm.
the similar features. Probably a little bit better than Twitter with their reads and different things that they
I think it's
offer.
way
And
better than Twitter, personally. I mean,
yeah,
it's just, yeah, yeah,
no, I
and
agree, and
yeah,
that's millions of dollars of a company, Twitter,
right.
or billions of dollars, and Primal's been just sort of startup and just grinding to get it out there, but they're doing a great job, sort of leading the charge and getting more Nostr adoption going. So
Yeah, I really, yeah. I've just come to the conclusion that we're just going to have flawless, seamless, perfect UX UI, or people just aren't gonna. It's got to be like what they're accustomed to, and to your point, not know what's going on under the hood, and we're just going to have to live with that. Like us as early adopters, we're just going to kind of have to accept that people aren't going to care about running a node or what it's connected to or how your channels balance. Like people are just that. I love all that stuff. I'm super dorky about it, and I like talking about it. But 99% of society they're just not going to meet us there. So,
yeah, they just want to click buttons, get results.
which is why people should go to Zap.Cooking, because it actually is that. It's interesting. Like I like your approach where it's kind of like half the website is just come check us out. We're just like any website, and then there's all this other stuff kind of available to people that want to be a little more plugged in with the Nostr stuff. So maybe that's part of the way we head here. We have sort of these dichotomous setups where there's kind of the seamless normie UX, and then there's like, oh hey, there's all this other super user advanced stuff if you want to go that route too.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of a lot of it is applying features, making them work, and then continue to iterate and improve. One of the things I know that we've been focused on and really been focused on the web app portion of Zap.Cooking lately, but we're going to be deploying more. We have an Android app, but get on iOS and other applications. Just trying to reach the user where their preferred experience is, which is on mobile most cases. So,
Hmm.
but
And it
yeah, I think it's just growing and continuously making those small improvements over and over.
Yeah, I found for whatever reason, using Nostr based stuff on mobile is it's almost a better experience than the web stuff. I've found personally, but maybe I haven't spent enough time on the web stuff.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, Seth, do you have are you planning on doing any other? Actually, I don't even know. Are you working on other projects or anything, or is this
I
your
have a
sole
couple other
focus?
projects. No, Zap.Cooking's the primary focus for the year, and I've been working on that and continue to work on that, just trying to improve it and get it out to people. As I mentioned about the doing the apps and just making it more user friendly and trying to get just regular adoption. But the other project I have, which I'm pretty proud of, is GratefulDay.space. It's just a morning gratitude app built on Nostr, where you can go and it has little readings
Oh
that
yes, yes, yes.
you can do. every day, and I sort of go across the different disciplines of Christianity, Taoism, Buddhism, Islam, and Judaism, and you can kind of dial it in. But probably the coolest feature, which I am most proud of, is we have I call it a random zap of gratitude. So you can go and it will basically, I built a layer which goes and looks for somebody who's zapped recently, within, I think it's like the last 3 hours or something like that. And so you had to have zapped somebody recently, and then it'll just select an npub or a user, and it'll zap them whatever amount you put in there. So it's like
Oh,
you
wow.
truly
Okay.
don't know who you're zapping. You're just putting something out into the universe, and I think it's pretty cool. I use that as probably a daily driver just for my morning sort of gratitude practice. But then, every now and again, random zap of kindness. It's a good karma, I guess.
And wait, what's the profile on Nostr here?
Oh, it's a client. It's Grateful Day Space is
Oh,
the
it's an actual
URL.
client. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I thought it was like an account that you could that you would zap, but okay.
No, no. But no, it's a web app. So if you have
Okay.
Albi or any wallet connect there, you can connect it, and it's a pretty cool little feature.
That's awesome. There's so much cool stuff to be built out here, and yeah, cooking is has always been such a passion of mine. It's something I'm excited. There's a lot of engagement on Nostr, and just very cool to see stuff like this.
Yeah. So one other thing, and it's sort of breaking news. We just sort of landed on it. The past couple of years, Derek, Ross, and I have done Nostr Valley. We've done it 2 years in a row
Yeah.
in State College, Pennsylvania. So we just announced today that we're looking at October 17th, 2026 in State College to do Nostr Valley 3.0. So it'll be our third year of doing it, and it's a great opportunity to connect and do IRL meetups with Nostriches. And the last 2 years have been fantastic. We've had great folks come up. We've done a lot of speeches and stuff. There's a couple YouTube videos out there that have last year's speeches. So definitely looking forward to that. And if folks want to come out, you can go to nostrvalley.com there and check it out.
Awesome. That will be about a week before my wife is giving birth to our second, so I will probably be unable to attend that. But
Well, certainly understood. Hope to see you at least online and maybe watch a video or two.
oh, I'll
We'll try
definitely
to
be
do a
out there.
live stream.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I mean, follow. I tried to go to the first Nosterville down in Nashville, but I was something came up, and I was unfortunately unable to get down to that one. Even though I do have a dog tag from the event, Island
Oh,
Gaming one,
nice. Oh, yeah.
subsequent to the event. Yeah, I came down like a week later and went to a Bit Devs, and so I missed it. But yeah, hung out with Derek.
I happened to be at that one, the first
Oh, you did? Okay.
Nostrville. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was probably, I mean, the best. I would say that was probably highest vibes, most excitement that I've seen around. Even though Noster's way better, and I actually think like we have like a better core group of people that are using it. For whatever reason, just the sentiment and the vibes are. Maybe 22 was just as high as it was ever going to be, and but because it was so exciting and new, and maybe you can never recreate that. But
Yeah, yeah. And in those early days, I mean, we like the discovery of zaps was like you hadn't have been there, right?
yeah,
Like
right,
during those
yeah,
early days when we were zapping lightning invoices back and forth and zapathons,
yeah,
and it was just like you can't recreate it. It's just you had to have been there, and we can live and tell the tale now. So
yeah, like actual invoices. Yeah, I remember.
yeah.
Yeah, oh, absolutely wild. Yeah, people still do post them every now and again, but I'm not sure they ever get fulfilled. But yeah, that was a wild time. All right. Well, if for people that have been watching this and have been watching me staring down into my left this whole time, it's because I have my temperature remote down here with
Ah.
the with the with the smoker temps in it, I actually got to go open the vents up a little bit. So getting a little below my preferred temperature here. So Seth, appreciate your time today. Was there anything you want to get to before we go, or do you think we covered everything?
No, appreciate the conversation. It's been a good one, and yeah, thanks for having me on and all the promo stuff. Checking us out at Zap.Cooking, nostrvalley.com, and check out gratefulday.space if you want to just find some daily gratitude.
And Seth on Nostr, your profile there. If you want to,
Yeah, it's
not
npub
yeah, yeah,
15x1,
yeah,
yeah, something like
yeah.
that. So
Cute.
yeah, it's an old classic joke. It's like a dad
Yes.
joke at this point.
Yeah, but I think you're one of the OGs. I think you can just search Seth, and I think it's your
Yeah,
profile. Yeah. So,
yeah.
but
There's a couple of us that are named Seth, but I'm one of the probably three. There's Seth for privacy and Seth
yes,
from Nashville as well. So
but if you just search Seth and find a guy with a hat over his eyes, that's the right guy. That's who you're looking for. So, um, uh, Seth, thank you so much for joining me. As always, the Sovereign, you can come find us at Sovereign, SOVREIGN.io. That's the best place to find us. I'm Plebe Anon on Nostr if you would like to follow me there personally. And yeah, the rest of the stuff, you can just search Sovereign and X and LinkedIn and all the legacy fiat garbage systems. We're still there. So until next time, thank you. Thanks, Seth.
appreciate it, my friend.
Yeah.